How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new story time. Today we have a story of a Gen Alpha kid who was caught looking up some, well, let me just say some sus stuff on the computer, and his teacher eventually catches him, and it's super embarrassing. It goes down terribly. If you guys are not prepared for cringe, then I don't know if this is a video for you. If you have not received your black belt in cringe, like you're able to handle that level, if you're only a gray belt or a white belt, this video might not be for you. But if you're a soul who can take that amount of cringe, then stick around, leave a like in the video right now to claim your free nothing, subscribe to the channel if you're new and like stories, and with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Danny. So anyways, this all happens one day in class. So Danny has computer class where basically you do, I don't know, it's like things related to the computer. They want you to get good at Excel, well, maybe not Excel because that might be a little bit too advanced, but like learning how to type properly, learning how to use the internet properly. I guess it's a class that's happening more and more. When I was in like middle school and like before that, I had a few typing classes, but I feel like since the internet is just everyone uses it, it makes a lot of sense for schools to have more internet-focused classes to teach you how to do some more practical things. Anyways, though, so this all happened one day in his computer class. So Danny's sitting there, and there's this kid, Ben. Ben is quite an interesting kid. And by interesting, I mean, well, he's a very unique kid. So to give a little bit of context to why Ben is a unique kid, 2 years ago, he started going around telling everyone that the Ender Dragon was the true god of the universe, and if they didn't bow down and join his Ender Dragon cult, that they were literally going to be torched into an eternal flame, burned forever and ever and ever. Yeah, so this kid Ben is quite a unique kid, just to say the least. Honestly, like, I'm probably going to ask the subscriber who submitted this for that story too, because that sounds pretty funny, and maybe I'll tell it for another time on the channel, so make sure you have subscribed. But anyways, though, in this day, Ben is sitting in the corner laughing. He is laughing hysterically, and the teacher has stepped out of the room. So at this point, Danny's sitting a couple computers down, so he looks over. And the kid next to Ben is like, bro, like, why are you laughing so much? And Ben's like, dude, look at this. So the kid next to Ben looks over and is like, dude, what is that? And Ben just can't stop laughing. And the kid like literally gets up and walks out of the room. So at this point, Danny's getting really, really curious, bro. He has no idea what's going on, but he is low-key curious. Oh my God, I thought a spider was racing towards me. It's not a spider. Is it? No. Anyways, that was not part of the story. But yeah, so sure enough, right, Danny's getting more and more curious of what is even going on over there, bro. Like, if people are tweaking out that bad by just looking at it, I don't know, it's piquing his curiosity. Danny already knows it's going to be some nonsense, but anyways, Danny gets up, and he walks over to where Ben is sitting. And he doesn't even need to get that close to realize what's going on. Danny looks over the computer screen and is like, dude. And Ben is just laughing. Basically, okay, Ben has combined brain rot with the internet doing what the internet does best. I should actually rephrase that. The internet doing what the internet does worst. Basically, Ben was looking up like hot skibbity toilet compilations, sexy go nuggets, top 10 like think of your favorite, I shouldn't say favorite, think of brain rot terms that are popular and then just put them in a really some weird sexual situation, and Ben was just typing all that stuff up. He turned off safe search. I'm pretty sure every computer in the school was preloaded with like super safe search, but I guess somehow he got around that. Yeah, so anyways, right, Danny's like, dude. And Ben's like, dude, isn't this hilarious? Bro, I don't really understand why like any of that's hilarious. All that stuff's kind of gross, bro. Like, it's genuinely like, bro, why are you even checking that out? What is the purpose of you even looking at it? But this is what Ben does next. Ben starts calling random people from around the room to come over, that he has to show them something. He's like, James, come over here, bro. You're going to love this. So So James like walks over. He's like, dude, what the fuck? Dude, what? And Ben's like, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, oh, Zach, dude, you're gonna want to see this. Come over here. So like he walks over. He's like, what the fuck, dude? And Ben's like, ha, ha, ha. It is. I don't even understand the point of this. Like, are you trying to show to other people that you're a certified weirdo, that you're a certified strange kid, that you're a certified internet dweller, that you're a certified level 10,000 Discord moderator? Bro, what? Anyways, though, so sure enough, right, eventually, when Ben starts calling out to people, hey, Andre, come over here. He's like, no. People start saying no because I realize when everyone walks over to Ben, he just shows them something really sus and weird, and then they like walk out of the room disgusted or like walk back shivering because of what they saw so gross. So at some point they're like, okay, we're just not going to go over when Ben says something. So anyways, this goes on for a little while until, we'll say Miss Davenport's the name of the teacher, until Miss Davenport walks back into the room. And then eventually, like, Ben shuts down whatever he's doing. He's not trying to get caught or anything like that. So sure enough, right, it goes back to normal. I mean, it goes back to normal to an extent because Danny's still trying to, like, figure out a way to scrub the insides of his eyeballs and potentially rearrange his memories and delete certain ones because he needs to find a way to scrape that out of his brain. But he needs to find a way to just obliterate that from the surface of his cranium because he never wants to see those images ever again, and they are permanently burned in the back of his skull. So yeah, sure enough, right, Danny's just like, okay, well, this kid is at it again. It's his Ender Dragon Cult 2.0, but this time he's just straight up torturing us. Anyways, things seem normal. It seems like this is the end of it. But as these stories go, that is rarely the end of it. Because sure enough, the next day, they all come in. And, they walk in like normal. But here's the thing. All the computers are, like, turned off. Because normally they're turned on. Like, they're not, like, maybe you have to, like, log in or whatever. But they're all turned off. And the thing, too, I should say, is they sit down randomly. They don't have their own spots because they kind of log into the student portal or whatever so that they can, like, it doesn't really matter the computer they're on. They're not doing anything on, like, saved files on that computer. So it's kind of random, which is important in a second. You're going to understand why that's low-key an important detail. But anyways, though, they walk in, and instead of the computers kind of being on, ready for them to log in, they're all powered off, which is very strange. And Ms. Davenport is standing in the corner of the classroom with her arms crossed, with a terrible expression on her face. She is not happy. Yeah, so sure enough, right, the subscriber's walking in, and Danny's kind of just like, oh, no, like, something's up. I can tell she's mad about something. It's probably related to the computers. And then Danny thinks for, like, 2 more seconds and is like, oh, no, like, she must have seen what Ben was showing us yesterday. We're all cooked, especially because he's like, look, if everyone had assigned seating, like, Danny sat there, Ben sat there, Charles sat there, then all of a sudden, you just look, you find the garbage on the computer, you literally just look at your seating chart, you're like, okay, well, obviously it was this kid. I think there's actually been a story time that I've told on the channel before in which, like, some kid went onto another kid's computer and, like, looked up bad stuff knowing that it would be checked to get him in trouble. I vaguely remember that. I've told a few stories like this before. Anyways, though, so, yeah, she's like, her arms are crossed, and everyone walks in, and she's like, stand, don't sit down, stand, line up on the wall, and everyone's like, yo, what? Because they're like, yo, is this PE class? Is Miss Davenport going to make us do wall sits or planks or push-ups or something, or jumping jacks across the wall? Bro, I thought this was computer class. Like, what's going on right now? So sure enough, right, she has everyone line up against the wall, and she's like, I don't know what to think, guys. Like, I can't believe you do this. Everyone's like, what? Here, okay, little bit of a side tangent rant. I always used to hate this when I was in middle school. So there was an incident when I was in 8th grade. Some kid, like, looked over the stall at another kid taking a dump. Okay, right? It's like, don't do that, bro. It's bad, right? I understand why the administration would be upset at that one kid. We had a whole meeting as my entire class, and they're like, oh, we're so disappointed in you guys. Bro, I'm not looking over the stall. They were literally saying it to all of us as if we were all equally culpable as the person who was literally doing it. Like, bro, I don't know what you're saying, but I'm in math class while this guy's peeping someone else doing a dump, right? That's weird as hell. I'm not doing that. Why are you blaming me? But he was really like, I'm disappointed in all of you guys, bro. What did I do? Seriously. Anyways, though, that just like brought up a little bit of a childhood trauma right there. You know how it be. But anyways, so she's like, I'm so disappointed in you guys. I can't believe you do this. You do the internet is sacred, which like, bro, did you log into the internet yesterday? You've not, buddy, you've definitely not been on the internet for that long, Miss Davenport. I don't know what to say. Like, you must have stayed on google.com, safe search, supreme mode. But he's probably only read the Wall Street Journal and been on YouTube Kids once. That's probably a review of the internet if she thinks it's some sacred holy place, bro. I don't know. I've seen a lot of stuff, and you don't want to see what I've seen. Anyways, so she's like, I discovered something disgusting on one of these computers yesterday, and, you know, I don't know who is sitting where, because you guys sit in new seats every day, but unless, she's like, well, I'm not going to allow any of you guys to go into the computers, and we're going to be sitting here in silence until the person who's done it comes forward. So at this point, everybody in the class knows it was Ben. And Ben is like tweaking out in the corner because he's like probably not trying to get in trouble. Because here's the thing, Ben probably cares a little bit about getting in trouble, but what he cares a lot more about is having a conversation with his parents. When his parents are told, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Ben's mom and dad, your son was looking at skibbity toilet porn. Like, that's not a conversation anyone wants to have. It's like, how do you explain that to your parents? Like, I don't know. If you get caught cheating, it's like, don't do that. Or if it's like, oh, yeah, I got in a fight with someone. Oh, don't do that. I was looking at skibbity toilets kissing. Bro, how do you explain that? How does one go about explaining that, dude? Like, seriously. Yeah, so anyways, right, sure enough, Ben is like, everyone's dead silent. Because here's the thing, low-key, everyone in the room knows who did it, but no one really wants to rat on Ben. I mean, I'm sure if it was like an anonymous email, like, anonymous email goes out, like, if you know who did it, say it, everyone would be like, Ben, he did it. Like, there's no reason for them to, like, chill out there. However, what I will say, no one wants to be known as the kid who's the narc, which, like, I don't think it's that deep. I don't know. Like, people are going to get mad at me. If someone's doing something messed up, especially if they're messing up your day, bro, I'm sorry. I'm turning you in. I do not care. I care about me at this point, bro. You figure out yourself. Anyways, though, so sure enough, right, everyone's kind of just sitting there, silence. It's awkward. It's weird. It's uncomfortable. No one's having a good time until eventually someone speaks up. However, it's not going how you guys think it's going to go. Because Ben speaks up. You might be thinking, oh, did Ben have a sense of like enlightenment where he realized that he needs to be the one who steps forward, admits his defeat, admits his flaws and his failures and his missteps, and, you know, he really just needs to. Sorry, I'm looking like a creepy doll, bro. What the hell? How did you get here? I feel like I'm gonna die. This is like Annabelle. Anyways, so sure enough, right? No, that's not the case because Ben is like, Miss Davenport, I know who did it. And she's like, yes. Kind of excited to get this fine because I don't think she wants to be standing there in silence either. Like, that's low-key just kind of boring. He's like, that was that was Danny's computer. Danny's like, yo, what? And then, like, Miss Davenport's like, Danny, that's disgusting. And Danny's like, no. I didn't want to say this, but that was Ben's computer. And she's like, why didn't you say that earlier? And he's like, I don't know. I don't want to tell on this kid. And then she's like, class? And everyone's like, no one really wants to speak out now. And Danny's like, dude, what? And Ms. Davenport's like, Danny, it's not looking good for you. That's all I'm saying. But then one other kid's like, yeah, no, it was Ben. And Ben shoots him like the dirtiest look ever. And then Ms. Davenport's like, wait, Ben, was it you? He's like, no, it was Danny. That's Danny's friend. And like Danny and this kid, this random kid who spoke up, they aren't like super tight. So they aren't really that close of friends. They're not enemies, right? But Danny doesn't want to go, oh, I'm not friends with that kid. Because then it's like, oh, so you hate that kid? You're not friends with him? You're a mean person? It's like, no, I'm just trying to defend myself here. So anyways, Miss Davenport's like, fine. You know what? That's a strike against all of you guys. You can go back to your computers right now, turn them on, log in, do what you're supposed to do. But just so you know, if anyone else messes up, Everyone's going. Like, this is a strike against all of you. Think of this as a warning, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, Danny sits down and, like, looks over his shoulder, and Ben is glaring at him, which, like, bro. Yeah, so Danny's looking at Ben like, bro, what do you want from me, dude? Like, seriously. You ratted me out when I didn't do anything. You didn't rat me out, actually. You just accused me of something that you did. I just said the truth. I would have said that unprovoked. But now now we're all in trouble or something. Which, guys, don't worry. Karma does exist, and justice is coming back to Ben. It might just take a second, but trust me, it's coming back to Ben. Which, by the way, I think some of you guys might be thinking in your head, like, I have stories that I want to submit. So if you want to submit your own story, this is a subscriber-submitted story, as nearly all of these are. Go to Instagram, look up Connor Pugs. I have 1.2 million on there as of this recording. I don't know. My reels do really well, so I got more followers on there. A lot of them don't even know I do this. Follow me and then message me your story. So that's all you got to do. And obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. If you're listening to this on Spotify, which, by the way, I post these on Spotify, if that's a preferred platform, make sure you rated the podcast 5 stars and followed it. Both of those are much appreciated. And also, if you're curious of my life outside of these Storytime videos, because I sometimes kind of loop in a little bit of what I'm doing, right? But not always. You can follow me on Snapchat. It says Connor Pugs, one word. I got a verified star in there, and I post a lot of my story, so you can see the rest of what I'm doing. And finally, the secret word of the day is computer. So comment computer if you made it this far into the video. I want to see the names and faces of people who made it this far, and let's get right back into it. So yeah, sure enough, Danny's like upset at this point because here's the thing. Miss Davenport kind of thinks that he was looking at sus skibbity toilet videos. That's not what he wants. That's not the reputation he wants to have, understandably. And also, half the class knew what Ben was doing. The other fourth of the class was kind of aware that it was Ben, but there was probably a fourth of that class who now thought that he looked up something terrible, because they also don't know what it was. Probably a fourth of that class think that there's a chance that he was looking up something gross and weird. So Danny's in a bad mood. Ben is afraid because he thinks he's going to get caught. But then I think something happened. I think for some reason Ben was just like, almost went on a power trip because he didn't get caught. It's like, he's like, oh my God, like I just pulled off the heist of the century, which, dude, that's not true. You just looked up weird stuff on your computer and somehow didn't get caught, even though you basically turned yourself in, and the teacher is quite suspicious of you. But for some reason, Ben basically went on a power trip and thought that for some reason, because he didn't get caught, that he was literally invincible. Like, dude actually thought that he could do anything he wanted just because he didn't get caught there, even though he basically got caught. And he barely didn't get caught. He almost, the teacher is probably very suspicious of him anyways. But Ben is not the brightest, he's not the brightest bulb, bro. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's not he's not a 2,000 IQ genius, one might say. So some might say that Ben does not rival Einstein in intellectual abilities, actually, believe it or not. Because Ben, while Ms. Davenport's in the room, decides to go on his computer and start looking up these sus brain rot garbage, bro. He starts looking up the same stuff that he basically got caught looking up before. And this time, instead of before, when he was not smart, but he was better to do it when, Miss Davenport wasn't in the room. This time, he decides to do the same thing he was doing before, but this time, while Miss Davenport was still in the room. It makes no sense at all. But for some reason, he thinks that the best idea that he can't, he's like, oh, I'm invincible. It doesn't matter. So sure enough, right, Ben goes around clicking away, clickety-clack, skibbity toilet sus compilation. I don't even know what he's looking up. I don't even want to say it. I think YouTube will get mad if I get too specific, right? He's looking up all this garbage, and this time, when Miss Davenport's in the room. So he's risking her, she's already in a bad mood. She's already looking out for the culprit. I mean, she doesn't think that the culprit would be this dumb, but she's paying extra close attention to what people are looking up because she probably didn't even know this stuff existed on the internet. Her probably comprehension of what the internet was did not even include this in the first place. Yeah, that's how bad this is. So she's looking out. She's looking out for this, and he's just looking away. And that's when Ben yells, "Hey, Timmy, come over here. You need to come over here." Miss Davenport looks over at Ben. I guess she just can't see his computer at this angle. But Timmy's like, okay. Miss Davenport, I think she would have like yelled at him. I don't know. She just let it go. And Timmy comes over there. It's like, dude. And Ben's like, "Ee." And then Timmy walks back. And this time Miss Davenport looks at Timmy's face. Timmy looks disgusted. So now Miss Davenport's low-key suspicious. So Ben, who for some reason believes that he's genuinely invincible and he'll never get caught, yells, "Hey, Brady, come over here, bro." And Brady's like, "No, I'm not coming over here." And he's like, "Brady, please, you should really come over here." Brady's like, "Okay, fine." So Brady walks over. At this point, Miss Davenport is like invested in what's going on because she's like, why is this kid randomly calling people over? They walk over, then they look disgusted. She's like very on his case. So Miss Davenport, low-key starts saying, she puts it, you know that kind of teacher walk where they put their arms behind their back and slowly like walk over? Almost like what they do, they walk around while you're taking an exam, being like, "Are you cheating? No? Okay. Are you cheating? No, okay. Kind of like that teacher walk. So she's doing that teacher walk, basically tracing behind Brady. And Brady sees it first. He's like, dude, what the hell? Why you look? Dude. And Ben's like, hee. And Ben turns to yell, "Hey, like James, come over," or something, right? Ben turns. And what he sees is he makes eye contact with Miss Davenport. And then Miss Davenport looks at the computer. And there's like a moment of silence. It's not an immediate reaction. There's like a moment where Miss Davenport has to process the monstrosity, the horrors, the demented images on screen. And she's like, "Ben!" And Ben's like, "Oh," he's like starting to close all the tabs, but for some reason, like he was on some stupid freaking virus site. So like they were using a Mac or something. So like the pinwheel of death where like the pinwheel like starts spinning around, meaning you can't do anything. So he is locked into these like virus-ridden skibby toilet sus compilation websites or whatever. So he's like, oh, it's all like this. He's trying to like power off the computer. It's not working. He's like, "Ben, I can't believe you do this. Like, not only that, I can't believe you do it again. Like, are you actually an idiot? Like, you're coming with me. This is the biggest misuse of technology I've ever seen in my 20 years at this school, blah, blah, blah." So everyone's like looking over like, oh no. So, you know, Benny boy, he bit the dust, baby. And, you know, Danny's kind of just sitting there a little bit smug, like, okay, like, you find like you rode way too close